Welcome to the Inspired Word Cafe show. Tonight, you are going to be amazed. We have two beautiful writers that are coming to perform tonight, and that's Clifford and Emily Elzbeth. They will be doing some amazing poetry from their new book they wrote together called Into Me I See. And before we welcome them on stage, I'm just going to read a little blurb from this book, Journey to the Heart. Embrace life's mystery. Embrace the mystery of life. You don't need to know everything in your head. You don't need to figure everything out. You don't need an instruction sheet or a set of rules. You don't need all the answers. Let yourself experience life. Hang on to the handlebars when you must, but as much as possible, put your hands in the air and enjoy the ride. Feel everything that you need to feel along the way. Feel the fear. Feel the joy, the exhilaration. Feel the wind in your hair and the sun on your shoulders. Feel the vitality of life surge through you. See vitality and life that surrounds you. Watch the magical journey of your life unfold with its ups and with its downs. Feel the awareness surge from deep within. Grasp the insights that come. Grab the brass ring whenever you can. Embrace the mystery of life. Embrace the mystery and the magic in you. And that is by Melody BT. So I hope you enjoy tonight. We're in for a great surprise. Thanks.
Good evening, everybody, and thanks a million for the introduction, Jessica, and a beautiful reading. Tonight I'm going to read some poetry from two different books. The first one I'd like to share with you has a bit of a sentimental value. It was from a book called Changing the Way I Am, and it's unique in the sense that it has 4 generations of poets: my grandfather, my mother, myself, and one of my sons. And I didn't realize that my mum wrote poetry until she passed away, and one of my sisters found a beautiful poem that she'd written about her dad, who served in the British Navy during the war. And obviously from the poem that she wrote about him, it was quite sentimental to her. So the first poem I'd like to read is entitled Across the Bar. Across the bar, he sits at the bar, surrounded by smoke, stares in his beer, nobody spoke. Elderly grey, perhaps deep in a dream, nobody speaking, nor asks what he's seen. Drinking too much. Is he trying to forget? Hours in the sea. Is the cold with him yet? Over the months, I've heard bits of his story. Convoy commander, once fighting for glory. Who is to know why this chap in the corner drinks himself stupid, now old and a loner? Oh, write me not off when you see me at first. Perhaps I have a reason for quenching my thirst. And I can imagine that was about what he experienced during the war, and she wrote about it. So thank you for that. Along the same lines, both Emily and myself co-wrote a book called Into Me I See, and I'd like to share with you some of my poems, and I'm going to invite Emily up to read some of hers in a few minutes. The first one is something similar on the same lines as we often go into curiosity shops and we find photographs, old negatives, blacks and whites of people, and we don't know, well, who are these people, and you can purchase them for 10 or 50 cents. So last year, one of my sisters presented me with a beautiful photographic album of some of my grandparents and my brothers and sisters as we grew up, and my own parents. And as I was looking through the photographs, this poem came to me, and I decided to write it down, and it's called The Photograph Album. Slowly turning the pages, carefully examining all the faces. the young and the old, each one with their own story of life etched within. I stop to wonder how the age has come so quickly to my face. Looks of sadness, joy, bewilderment held within their eyes. The sparkle in my eyes, I wonder, is it alive within, and can it be seen? 4 generations of relations. Some of the people I've no memories of, even know their names. No knowledge or fondness, yet we are connected in life by blood. My parents, now gone to a new place, resting in a world I do not know. Happy memories of the time they shared with me. Photographs of my sisters and brothers growing old together. Do I really know their souls? Will I just be an old photograph that has no meaning to those who are traveling in the world behind me? My words will remain with discussions and confusion over what did they mean. Is it through our words, music, and stories that we tell that will allow our photographs to come to life? Change your image and write your words for those that live within you now and for the future now. Thank you. So, just before I invite Emily up, I'm going to share with you another poem, and it's to do with a property beside us was sold, and there was a beautiful tree, a chestnut tree, outside the window. And I'd noticed it over the years and the changing within the seasons. And one morning, it's since gone, they knocked down the house, etc., and they're putting up a new property. But one morning I was sitting having coffee looking out the window, and I looked over at the tree, and this came to me at the time, and it's called a tree. And it reminds me about ourselves and our life. So, the tree. It is a beautiful chestnut tree that stands tall outside my window. Every winter it throws off its former glory of its summer and autumn coats. In winter, it is kept warm by the falling snow that settles on its branches, waiting for the new time so it can begin again to grow and shelter those who will make it their home. Continuous change to meet each season with a new and wonderful color. As the spring now is about to open its doors, the buds form slowly and wait to burst. The man within looking out is no different, and yet he fails to recognize the same possibilities and opportunities that each day may bring, worrying about what was rather than what is now. Embracing the time to show the many coats he can wear as the seasons come and go. The tree does not wait for death and think what can be. The tree smiles and greets the new seasons with joy. So, too, the mindset of this man can also be. Thank you. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to read another poem called Into Me I See, which is the title of the book. But before I do that, I'd like to invite an absolutely incredible writer, Emily Elzbeth, who is going to share some of her poetry. So, Emily.
Hi, thank you. So I guess it's really nice words, Mel, and nice to hear them read by yourself. So anyways, I'm going to start with a poem called Alberta, and I grew up in Alberta, there we go. I grew up in Alberta, and so it's kind of got a warm place for me. Going to Alberta, my chest just seems to open up, and with the endless horizons. And then this year, last year, there's been a lot of stuff that's happened with fires in Fort McMurray and so forth. So anyways, I'll just start on that note with Alberta. In the bright summer sun, the wind blows from the west, hits the wheat fields, and makes the wheat roll. Sorry, I read it wrong. Okay. In the bright summer sun, the wind blows from the west, hits the fields and makes the wheat roll. Hits home as I feel warmth in my chest. Reminds me of the saying that all that shimmers is gold. Most of us remember how Alberta shined, and many of us didn't mind exploiting resources from the land, going back to the rivers and creeks that the gold miners panned. Big wheels, brakes squeal, an endless horizon, watching the sun rising. Old farmers, steers, and cotton with wool, the original Under Armour. Alberta, where a handshake means the world, and where trust comes down to someone's word. Alberta, tried and true. Alberta, so many of us losing you. So that's that one. Okay, so another one is that I'm going to read is Grandfather Was a Capitalist. So here in Kelowna, we've got a lot of fentanyl problems apparently. So there's a lot of problems all across town, and it doesn't just happen here. It happens all over Canada and the world. So growing up in Edmonton, I noticed that there was a lot of turmoil. And so this has a little bit of reflection to that. So, yes, Grandfather was a capitalist. It's wintertime here as I walk in Grandfather's shoes. He was a capitalist too. It's so cold in this city. The colder it gets as I sit in front of the mirror and try to look pretty. Who would have guessed my fate? City nights spent walking below the high-level bridge, feeling taller than the steel beams built by hard-working settlers, and some pretty good old fellas. Grandfather was taught by them. He was a good old boy, too. City lights fill up Chinatown, and dark alleys seen by very few. In the morning, the atrocities that took place in those streets fade with the dawn and its pale and sometimes sunny hue. Staring out of my room at the Hilton, watching snowflakes fall. It looks so cold out there, and I can't help but let my mind wander to the place filled with crimes of hate and date rape, sinning, and yellow tape. Who would have known that success wasn't really that kind? That seeing broad and wide was a real dagger in the back. What was I hoping to find? No. Rather, what were they hoping to find? And in this bloody cold hotel room, I'm losing my mind. As I sat in the car the next morning, headed south on 2, I couldn't help looking at it from a different point of view. I couldn't help wonder about those poor little pretty girls who get lost on those icy streets. I couldn't help but wish for them summer and a sense of childhood wonder and smallness under the big black beams, joining downtown with uptown and a smile from a frown. So I think I'll stop there, and we'll maybe read the Into Me I See, which those 2 poems were kind of created for like a track on an album on this book here. So maybe Mel can come back up and lead us into that.
Thank you. So, as Emily said, when we were co-writing this book, we said we would co-write Into Me I See, which was the title poem. And as we were writing, we found that we had 2 different directions, and both of us wrote a poem entitled Into Me I See. So I'd like Emily to write her version, because they mean different things to different person, and then I will read mine.
Great, thanks, Mel. All right, so this has a lot to do with a lot of different things. A lot of it has to do with Ontario and patriotism. So anyways, here we go. It's called Into Me I See. Into me I see a log cabin, fire burning, humidity of breath. Outside of me, I hear galloping horses, reminding me the Grim Reaper is coming to carry some poor fool off to death. Into me, I feel bereavement. Outside of me, I see where two properties converge by use of easement. I smell burning hair and flesh from the branding of cattle. Perhaps it's the smell that reminds me our country is still at battle. On the left of me, I see precious space that is threatened by plans to develop and replace the farmland that was once owned by an Indian band. On the right of me, I see a condominium where my aunt's house used to be. Do you believe in free will or destiny? Sometimes I think about how it used to be. AC versus DC, Phillips versus Roberts, and the contrasting genius in their simplicity. The sound of the jackhammer is a constant reminder of the road where my uncle built his first truck, then sold it for $1. Thistleweed cracking the asphalt. Thistleweed cracking the asphalt as another season comes to a halt. Outside of me, I see how far civilization has come. Sitting here drinking Jamaican rum, while Jack and Johnny work outside, I see a world inherited by others' sweat, blood, and tears. Into me, I see a moat of velour protecting me from my deepest fears.
So, as I said, we both have different styles, and I'm just going to, if I can find it in the book. So, my version of Into Me I See, which is a different style, came to me when we were writing. So, Into Me I See. The honesty of my thoughts do not reflect my words or movement in my life. For within me are the hidden fears of life, not to be seen outside. Deep inside are the emotions of intimacy, seeking the light, yet still in the dark. The fears of love, the excitement of lust. The known secrets and feelings of failures, for it's only in my mind. Being me is harder than I want it to be. Depression of my thoughts weaken my mind. Struggling with what others may think of me, yet nobody really cares. For it is into them they only see. Strip away the outer layers and open up to the world to see inside. Not a chance. This world is unforgiving and nasty to the vulnerability of the self. For it is the reflections of the self that others sees, and too wish to hide the tormenting demons. Yet I know within me is the beauty of intimacy, crying to be released. Again we hide, ashamed and fearful of the hurt. But remember, it is only the thought of what might occur we fear. I've never given me the chance to see the light outside, allowing the demons to rule. I'm scared of what? Is this not what everyone lives their life by? I close my eyes and look deep inside, settled by mind, for today I live. Calmness in my body, imagining I'm naked for all the world to see. All of my thoughts from within, my demons, my desires, my wishes. The slowness of the world as I watch people passing me by, not noticing, preoccupied with their self. I'm naked, letting you see me. What is wrong with you? I've opened my inner self to thee, but you can't see me. Damn it, I've let it go on for too long. Why was I so scared, shameful, and unwilling to open my soul? It is only now that into me I see, this beautiful and alive. I now weep and cry, out with joy for release. My life ahead difficult, struggling with the real me, but free. For it is into me I see. Thank you very much.
All right, welcome back to the Inspired Word Cafe. We're here with Mel, Clifford, and Emily Elzbeth. Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having us. We're delighted to be here.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for your wonderful reading. I was wondering, just maybe if you could talk a little bit about your new book, maybe how the collaboration happened, or maybe a little bit about your process. I know it must be maybe not tough, but it must be an interesting process to sort of put two creative minds together and sort of see what happens.
Well, I suppose how we met was I was on a panel up on the college, and Emily, I was introduced as having written poetry, and Emily came up afterwards and said that she did some writing. And I said, well, why don't you send me some stuff and we'll see where we go from there. And in a previous book that I wrote, Changing the Way I Am, I included some of Emily's poetry. And so this time I said, well, why don't we connect and write together? And that's what we did. So we both of us got together and we published Into Me I See, which is a variation of different writing styles. So Emily has a totally different writing style than I have. So that's how we got together and put it together. And it was quite easy, actually. I mean, one of the ways we sort of said how we put the poems in which order was sort of throw them up in the air and see the way they land.
Awesome.
Yeah, we threw them up in the air and they had landed, and I think they ended up in that same position. And then, I also wanted to mention too that on this panel it was really neat because Mel kind of came into it, and I thought, this guy looks like one of those dudes from the Beatles. He seems pretty cool. So I kind of went to pick his brain after, and it was neat. He knew a lot about music and poetry, and so that's kind of what happened.
Awesome. Who published the book?
It's published by Shanachie Press, so it's self-published.
Awesome.
Yeah, and Shanachie Press. Shanachie is the Gaelic for storyteller.
Oh, rad.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I was wondering if maybe both of you or one of you, or either maybe at the same time, if you wanted, could maybe talk a little bit about how you got started writing.
Sure. Okay. Let's see here. I guess I always wrote in school, and it was, everyone writes. So I got into music, I guess, and so a lot of the musicians like Jimi Hendrix and Jim Morrison and Trent Reznor and even Frank Sinatra and Bob Dylan and stuff like that, they all had neat stuff to say. So I guess, and actually I think it was Supertramp who said, if you've got a problem, write it down in paper and take your problems to a higher place. So that was kind of what did it for me.
Well, like Emily, I started writing in school where they teach you how to write.
Yeah.
And they teach you all the letters. So that's
I didn't really pay attention.
Did
so
I?
I don't. The school, I don't. Yeah.
I wasn't very good at maths, but I was good at sort of putting A's and B's and in the lines and everything like that. So, but it wasn't until about 15. I started writing about 20, maybe 25 years ago, and I have sort of different styles of. I wrote some children's stories, and then it moved into sort of a wee bit around business, and then sort of into poetry, and it just came. So at times I think I've just different writing styles. I also write fiction, so
Awesome.
I would, I've always been writing, but really seriously probably in the last 15, 20 years.
Awesome. Who are some of your bigger influences? All right, you named some musicians. Do you have some poets maybe, or some?
Well, there's one named Emily Elzbeth that I find quite.
I heard about her.
Quite good. So
yeah,
I'd recommend checking her out. If
she's
you
from Alberta, right?
Yeah. You can buy the book on Amazon and get some of the writing there.
Yes, so Emily was one of mine as well, inspired me many years ago. I suppose a few. I think I was mostly inspired by David Bowie because he reinvented himself so many times. Yeah. And to do that, so if I was to go back 15, 20 years, I was in the corporate world and business and everything like that, and so I'm delighted I'm out of it. But he was able to reinvent himself through the Ziggy Stardust days to Young Americans, to the different characters that he took on. So he was probably one of my major influences.
Did you listen to the newest record that he put out, just sort of posthumously or maybe right before he died?
I've listened to some of the tracks, right. Yeah, it's good stuff. He has about 35 or 40 albums. You know, a lot of people only know some of his Ziggy Stardust stuff, or Young Americans, or the classics that you hear. But he's some great music, and he's a great writer and great creative. He was very much like Freddie Mercury. He created great scenes.
Yeah. Ziggy Stardust is like one of my favorite sort of like early 70s records. Like I remember me and my uncle were like road tripping from the coast to Kelowna, and he had this like Bronco or something that you could like take the top off, and we like put on Ziggy Stardust, and I was like 13, just like, this is the coolest record of all time.
Yeah, no, he's good. I skipped school to go and see him, so.
Awesome.
And it's school exams, so he was that important.
That rules.
Yeah, forget about the exams. All that rubbish.
All right, so now we're gonna get into a couple hard-hitting questions here. So I hope you're ready for these ones.
Is this like a quiz?
It's
Cool.
you've been on easy street so far. So yeah. How many basketballs could you fit into this room?
2.
It's 2. Yeah, I think that's close.
They're big ones.
Right.
Like they're very big basketballs.
You are a writer.
Yeah. They're huge.
They're huge.
Yeah, there's only
These
2 of them.
basketballs.
Yeah.
They're huge.
I mean, the little small ones, if they're like this size, you could fit a lot.
I think there's a standard basketball. I don't. How many basketballs do you think?
5,793.
That's it. You got it.
In just this space.
I came in earlier. I brought out all the basketballs I had in my house. 573 and 2, just like you just said. So.
But you didn't bring the 2 big ones.
No, I left those ones at the hoops, because that's playing basketball with giant basketball with my giant friends.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully they're still there. So, I was just wondering if, obviously you guys just put out a book. Is there anywhere else we could find more of your work? Or obviously Amazon.com. I hear you can find the book. Is there anywhere else we could find the book? Or
Well, Elzbeth.com. Emily has her own blog. It's on Amazon, and you can find it also under melclifford.com.
Awesome.
And Mosaic Books.
Oh yeah, local store. Forgot about that.
Mosaic.
Yeah, it's great to have a local store.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for such a beautiful reading. It was really nice to meet you and chat.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a million for having us. We were delighted to come along.
Awesome. And you can find this reading, all of our other super brilliant, amazing stuff at inspiredwordcafe.com. Also find us on Facebook. Have a great night. Thanks for watching, coming, hanging, sitting, talking.